Let's talk.
Giles Brown.
Replugged is a field guide for staying human as artificial intelligence reshapes work, culture, and basically the world we live in. One man has taken a long, hard look at the state of the world that we're in as regards to artificial intelligence. That man is Satnam Bains. He's written a new book called Replugged. I'm delighted to say, well, I think it's him. It might just actually be an artificially intelligence-created bot that I'm speaking to. But good to have you with us, I hope. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me. And it's a real me. It's me. It's not an AI version of me. There's no avatar behind this. That's fine.
Just for those who don't know your line of work, just explain why you are so eminently qualified to have a look at this thing that is captured the public's imagination, to put it mildly, like no other.
Yeah, so I've been working in technology for about 30 years now, and I think we all got really excited when the internet was first hit us, but we couldn't really, at that time there was no real predictions in terms of where it would take us. Like we couldn't predict social media and all the other things that came along and mobile. So I think we're at the similar kind of cusp now. So I've architected systems for 30 years, and I think we're at the similar precipice with the era of artificial intelligence. So we're in for a ride.
Now, the thing is, it's always people saying, oh, we're looking to the future. This is, we should be concerned about our future, our children's future, et cetera, et cetera. But to know about the future, perhaps we have to look at the past and see how other groundbreaking technologies have transformed or not. I've probably still got a beta, beta player back there instead of having a VHA video player. Kids, ask your parents. But do we look? You look back and see how previous technologies have shaped our past or not, as the case may be.
Yeah. And I think this is some of the things I bring out in the book, in that there's always the convergence of technology. So let's take the iPhone, for example. It wasn't just the iPhone. It was a convergence of material science, the compute power and software. There's a number of things coming together. So what we're going to see in the future is the same pattern emerging. So we're going to see a range of technologies that get super turbocharged with AI, and that in itself will give us a new experience, like in terms of how we live and work.
So basic question. Should we now be, sort of watching Terminator 2 as a how-to guide as we go forward into the new year? I mean, because when you mention artificial intelligence, that is the default position. People get perhaps more worried about that than anything else they see, because everybody immediately sees sort of cyborgs and robots.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely there's definitely a yin and a yang to it, isn't there? So there's advantages and also areas of concern. Like one of the things that I talk about a lot is that, look, people have we've already opened the Pandora's box. There's 100 million people have already trusted something like ChatGPT within 2 months. And I think it's in the hundreds of millions now. So, when we were talking about, I think there's an element of us that we sort of sleepwalked into this era of trusting machines with our most intimate thoughts, actually. So that's already happened. And you're right. And the predictions are in about 10 years that we will have robots in our homes. So rather than talking to machines, that with the physical embodiment of robots, in the same way you pay for your mobile phone on a monthly fee, you might get somebody in your home helping you, but that's certainly what Musk wants.
But we're the same generation here, and when somebody says we will have robots in our homes, immediately a big clanging warning sign goes off in the background, because we grew up in the 60s and 70s, and the nearest we ever got to robot in our homes were the guys in the Smash commercial, and that is about as close as we got to having robot helpers, because it was always your mum was going to sit there. We remember the Blue Peter annuals, and we'd all be sitting there, playing Pong on our computers, which are on our Atari systems, and whatever happened to them, and yet here we are. The nearest anybody gets to robots now, those little cleaning things that people put their cats on for humorous videos.
Yeah, and I'm sort of skeptical of that time frame, if I'm completely honest. Right. So, but what is in development? See, like what's changed over the last few years is that the AI systems of now can watch and learn. Now, this isn't something that was really that profound over the last few years, but we have something that we call multimodal systems now, and they can watch human behavior and then they can mimic and learn from what they see. You see, and I think that's the area. There's so many different areas of AI. I think that's one of the areas that is really being focused on, just on the area of robotics alone. But, you know, in the book, I talk about so many other areas like biotech, sensors, robotics, quantum computing. All of these things will come together and give us a different experience. And in terms of jobs, yeah, definitely, you know, there will be issues around jobs. You see it now, actually. I feel sorry for younger people because we're going through such a change. The traditional jobs of we're going to get an analyst in to read through stuff, and that's the entry job. Well, those are going to disappear. Like they're not going to be around so much. So we are definitely in the era of change. And yeah, no, I love the 80s. I think
trust me. So I haven't left, to be honest with you. So I mean, you know, I'm hair notwithstanding. But here's the thing, okay? People are saying, "Oh, well, it's going to change everything." Well, there's 2 points off that last thing. One is the fact if the computers are learning, or if AI is learning, and I pity the poor system that has to mimic me, I could give you that much for human. But also that means that if it's learning, if the system is learning, therefore it's updating. And we know, oh, for goodness sake, there's a new update come on and nothing's going to be working for a week whilst we sort out our systems. But presumably that's teaching itself. So we won't have those updates, which is going to be ease of, right? And my second thing is that people, I go back to this and I always use it because I have friends who are in the creative industries and a couple of them have quite famously said, right, that's it, I'm quitting, because they can afford to, but, they have grown up in the film business, making high-level commercials for well-known firms, and they, in the late 50s, when they've gone, we can't handle, we think everything's going to be AI, and this dystopian vision of thing. But in the same way that you use it as a creative tool. So in the same way when the spinning Jenny comes in, we don't go around. I mean, okay, if you want to be a 21st century Luddite, please go around smashing up all the systems. But the Industrial Revolution changed society completely, and it wasn't all a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that's not obvious is that some of this is going to be pervasive. You won't even know it's there, actually. So in the same way, when we talk about robots in the home, like to a degree, we could argue we've got robots in the home already. I've got a washing machine. You've got a dishwasher probably as well. But it's just that some of the newer technologies will be embedded. So there's a level of ambience that's going to be coming into a lot of these things that we probably won't notice straight away, but they will definitely be there, and there'll be definitely things and I think there's also an ambition to join things up. Yeah, like with AI. So in your home, I know we all think about robots, and that's always a good example. But I think that the devices themselves will be a lot more interconnected.
And here's the thing, you see, because 15 years ago when I was working in magazine publishing, people were talking about smart homes. And you would have, and I remember all these things, because you had a central console that you had to carry around with you, size of a small house brick. But that would turn your lights on. It would let you, it would let you know when you're half an hour away from your house, in your car, etc. And then we got Bluetooth, and then we got smartphones, and that they basically, for better or worse, that is your control console. So, and people don't think about linking their Netflix to every room. That's that's AI, that's computing, and that's the entry level drug, as it were.
Yeah, definitely so. And I'm sort of curious myself in terms of where all of this goes. You see, as an architect, I understand what will happen to the technology. So I understand what will happen with the sensors. I understand what will happen with other foundational technologies. But the interesting stuff is when somebody who's quite creative and has a lot of money, that's not me, but who has a lot of money and deep pockets can bring some of these things together to bring us, the next innovations of the next millennia. A little bit like what Steve Jobs did with the phone, bringing different innovations together to give us something quite useful.
Here's the thing, because believe it or not, another side of my family are medical, they're all surgeons and stuff, and they're saying that what AI basically does to them is any research, when they're getting research papers or whatever, it cuts out You know, I mean, you will remember the roast, like, you know, remember those filing cabinets, etc., etc. If you use it as a tool, then you cut out so much, as it were, sort of shoe leather in research, and it's there on the crack. And that is the thing that we should be celebrating, because it gives us more time to be. I don't mean go off and paint, but be creative and get down to the. And you as an architect, I mean, it's like being Leonardo da Vinci and having a bunch of people behind you on a canvas doing all the outlines and mixing the paints for you. So you go in and go plop. There you go.
Yeah, and you've hit the nail on the head there, because we've got a different canvas. We've got new paints on the canvas now. That's what's happened. Like, in fact, I spend a lot of my time working on healthcare projects. Like the one after this, later this afternoon, I'm meeting with a bunch of GPs to talk about a different AI project which is brainstorming at the moment. And again, that is just to make things easier. That's to look at. Because at the moment, it takes quite a while for GPs to create a care plan based on people's needs. Well, what if we could automate that or speed up the creation of a personalized care plan using AI, which is clinically safe? So these things of just making things quicker, faster, easier in a clinical environment are definitely areas that I think we'll see more of.
Those are the positive things, but you also talk about attention drift, and you also talk about bias, because one of the things is now, you know, we grew up watching people read books on the train, and mindfulness, which was like watching the condensation go down, the drip down the when you're sitting on the bus. The last bus to Edgbaston or whatever, and you know that's my, so we you know in moments where we had nothing to do, we didn't pick up our smartphones and find out, you know, and watch cat videos. So how the way that we assimilate and we gain data in whatever form it is has changed. You don't see people reading so much, and as a result of that, people's attention spans have gone down rapidly. So how are we going to, I mean, you know, and obviously if something goes up on social media, we have seen this, people believe it. If it's on the social media, they will say, you know, well, the world is being run by a cabal of 12-foot subterranean hamsters called Nigel, and that is, people will believe that if they see it online.
Yeah, and this is the area of concern. I write quite a lot about this, about the fact that we just have so much attention drift. Like we're mined for our attention, and also we have this cognitive latency now, in that we don't have the attention. Certainly, my kids can't sit around for 3 minutes without getting back to their phone. But what worries me about all of that is the way that our behaviour is changing, and and also our values as a society is changing. And I talk a lot about trust, because going back to when you and I were probably at college or school, you have to earn trust physically, face to face. You know, and I think the whole era of social media has commoditized trust as well. And once you get into somebody's mind, once you earn their trust, there's all sorts of hazards that happen after that. And that is one of the areas that I think is a level of high risk around AI, because we've already seen that it's embodied the trust.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is with that one, you've had the perfect storm. I mean, we've reached the age where we have turned into the sort of people that we thought we never would be, going, oh, well, the youth, you know, teens and whatever. But, and, you know, every generation thinks the generation before, a golden generation, the goal, and wants following after a bunch of sort of whatevers. But you had that perfect storm where you had you had the means to communicate, i.e., you know, Zoom, social media, face to face. But then we had the thing of which we cannot speak of 5 years ago, otherwise known as the pandemic, and it cut off social connection in terms of you couldn't physically meet with people. And I think the young people who were incredibly, I mean, if we'd been students during and that had happened to us in the 80s, we'd have lost our bleeding minds. But this somehow got through, and I did a couple of speeches to some colleges and stuff like that. But the problem is that now it's become the norm. And you are, because everything is at the click of all the social networks and all the things are at the click of a button, there is very little impetus to go out there into that big bad world. And so when you actually meet somebody face to face, I'll be quiet in a minute. They kind of like look them in the eye, shake them firmly by that thing, and they've lost perhaps a little bit of that.
Yeah, and I think what I term, you're absolutely right, and what I talk about that quite a lot, and in the whole umbrella of emotional intelligence, like we had to really work on our emotional intelligence, really understand the cues, the expressions, the all of the things that come with face to face lived experiences, and I think there's a void developing now, and it's almost like emotional junk food that everyone's getting addicted to. So that's the issue, I think.
So
moving forward.
In the book, you say that we can sort of see where we are. The listeners can actually see how far they are down the time. What do you mean by that?
So I think one of the things that I'm urging everybody to do is to sort of understand the bigger picture of where we are, and the bigger picture is to sort of, and this is a philosophical view of the world as I'm getting a little bit old now, to understand that actually, I personally think that we're beings of energy, and we have highs and lows of energy, and there's certain things that pull us up and pull us down. But for us to really get to a level of quality of life, we have to just take a moment, understand where we are at any given time, and also understand from a technology point of view what's pulling us up and what's pulling us down. So there's a framework that I put into the book called Time Flow that talks a little bit about that. That gives you sort of an exercise to sort of sit back and reflect, so that you can sort of kick out these habits that are just making you go on autopilot and perhaps reducing the quality of your life.
Now, this has got a QR code in this book, hasn't it? Now, explain where this takes you, because this is quite interesting.
Yeah, so as well as an architect, I do have my own AI company that summarizes documents, helps people understand things. So what we've done is that we've trained the AI model to understand the book. So after the people have read the book, they can actually have a conversation with the book, with the chatbot, to talk about any additional things. So it summarizes. It allows you to have a conversation with the book about the book after you've read the book.
What do you? Yeah, I'm doing that. You actually have a conversation with the book about the book after you've read the book. That's right, that is quite something.
I think we're the first to do that as well.
Yeah, no, that's what made me sit up and take notice more than before. What are you hoping? I mean, when you pressed send, or you said to AI, send book, did you actually write this, or did you say to the AI thing, write me a book?
Yeah, what I'm hoping, with the I suppose that there's a couple of things there. Like with the AI side of things, I'm hoping to get some insights on what people are interested in. So when they're talking with the AI after the book, if there's things that there are common interests, I can revisit the blogs that I write and then address some of those things that people are querying or asking more questions about. And also in terms of the book itself, I just hope that younger people get an opportunity to read the book and understand the patterns of the last 30 years, so that they're better equipped to understand what's coming. The book
is called Replugged: From Mainframes to Mindframes and AI, a journey through the technologies that shape us. It's by Satnam Bains, who we're speaking to today. Where can people find you online to continue the conversation?
So I have a website called replugged.ai. And they can get in contact with me on that. So that's the website for the book.
Listeners, and also you can go online to our own virtual bookstop, click on the front cover of the book, and it will be winging its way to you. The book is called Replugged. It's by Satnam Bains. Satnam, it's been fascinating to speak to you this morning.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.